Well, everyone, welcome back to the Wormhole Manifest podcast. Or if you're just now joining for the very first time, welcome. It is now the year 2022, and this is the start of the second season of the show. The first season was started late last year around September timeframe, and I wanted to start this year off fresh with a whole new routine and material and content, so I hope you like it. I'll start off by saying thank you to all those who have listened to those first season episodes, and many, many thanks to all the wonderful people who willingly decided to be test subjects on a new podcast project before they knew anything about it, or about me for that matter, except for the few friends that I already knew that decided to help and come along for the ride. Anyway, I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. I hope to see you on future episodes. So here we are in a new year. I hope everyone out there has had a good holidays, New Year's and Christmas, considering the state of the world that we're in. This is entering the third year of a pandemic, so it's lots of crazy stuff going on, and lots of things have changed. I, for one, did have a great time this past holidays, and I'm very thankful and blessed for how it turned out. I'm thankful for the people in my life and the directions things are going. There's a lot of ground that has been covered in the last few years as far as my mental health goes, and there is still much work to be done, but I'm grateful to be here and to be moving forward. A few quick notes about the direction this project is heading. I'm going to continue to make the show centered around mental health awareness, or mental health in general, as much as possible, while discussing other interesting topics and different things with many different special guests. I've been trying to nail down guests that come from all different walks of life so that they can share their perspectives and we can all learn a few things along the way. I like the interview style because it's getting more comfortable for me, but I will also keep it loose and casual at times too. I'm also going to be working on putting different segments in the show in the future that possibly even some scripted sketches and things like that just for fun, as well as some of my own music creations and things like that. So hopefully we'll see how that goes. I also did create a new YouTube channel for this show, so I'll be able to post other content in the future, and maybe even outtakes or special behind the scenes footage from the podcast episode recordings, as well as promos to help me build the show up and to show off more content. The show will continue to evolve this season, I'm sure, and if something is good and it sticks, then I'll keep it. And if something doesn't work out so well, then we'll just change our course and do what feels like aligns a little better with the kind of content I want to provide. We shall see. Anyway, it's time to get started, so here we go. Please enjoy the first episode of Season 2 of the Wormhole Manifest podcast. Thanks. This is a show where I add names to a manifest, the Wormhole Manifest. And we venture through this wormhole to exciting destinations where we gain some insight into who these folks are and what they're into in order to obtain some new perspectives in life and to share some cool information with all of you listeners. Once we're on the other side, the adventure begins. There's no going back, at least not until the journey is over and the ride comes to an abrupt stop, or if something goes horribly wrong, in case we will all just get vaporized. But it's all in a day's work. So, here we go. Today's special guest is someone I admire very much from the Frown Town Podcast. And I'm excited to kick this new season off with them. So, VeeChattie, your name has been added to the manifest. Are you ready to tell the listeners a thing or two about what it means to be a badass?
Oh, a badass. Um, mm, I mean, all you have to do for people to think that you're a badass is just like, I don't know, uh, have ADD so that you get interested in lots of different things. And, by the time you're in your early 30s and people talk to you, they're like, wow, you've done a lot of different things. And you can be like, yeah, I am easily bored and distracted. Or, get into bladesmithing. I did that for a while. It was rad. Uh, Shout out to,
Bladesmithing.
yeah, my professor, JD Smith. Um, he was dope. He still is dope. He was boss. Um, but yeah, I made a knife. I also made a hammer out of Damascus steel. Just still like probably one of the dopest things I've ever made. I still have it. It's very functional. But it's solid. Like the
Wow.
handle and the hammerhead are all forged out of like one piece that has like a multi-directional Damascus pattern with no breaks, no pockets. If you've ever watched Forged in Fire, I don't know if you watched the show.
Uh, I think I've heard of it. Is that where they're like
It's bladesmiths.
making
They compete.
things?
They compete against each other, and
Hmm.
it's funny because I remember when the show first came on, and I would periodically see like people that I knew from college, and that was always fun. Um, but what happens is when you take these pieces of steel, you have to laminate them together. Like Damascus, for people who don't know, it's like folded steel. So um,
Yeah.
you have to fold the steel together, and it comes from a tradition of like back when they used to use like back when they were making blades, way like when they first discovered steel. They used to
Yeah.
make swords out of like copper
Hmm.
and shit like that. And then they discovered steel, and steel is a lot harder to work with because it has a higher melting temperature. It's just a harder material.
Yeah. Like it has to be
Um,
tempered and all that.
well,
Yeah.
I mean, everything has to be tempered. Every
Right.
metal is, it just all has different.
There's a lot of math involved too, because I had a friend who was a
Yeah, I mean,
metallurgist, and
yeah,
he
there's
was like,
math involved, but you just have to follow formulas. The formulas have all already
"Yeah,
been done. Just fucking follow the formulas and then learn all the
yeah,
formulas and then experiment after you've learned them. Um, But yeah, like so they used to dig out this iron ore, and iron ore is like it looks like just a big rock, like a big heavy rock,
yeah,
and they would like put it in a smelting furnace. So this is before they could like melt iron fully. They would put it in a little furnace, usually made out of dirt or sand or some shit, and then they burn it, and then all the impurities like the sand and rocks and the silica and anything that wasn't steel for the most part
yeah."
would
All
melt
those
out of it.
elements.
So, yeah, it would melt out, and then you would end up with this thing that looks like Swiss cheese, essentially. Um, and then they would hammer that out, and as they hammered it, the little holes would seal shut, and they would fold it and hammer it out again, and fold it and hammer it out again. This is how they like you had to put more carbon into your steel because carbon makes the steel harder and keep an edge. Anyway, that's knives.
So that's how you become a badass. Learn everything there is to know about making blades.
Yeah, learn well,
Yeah,
and then
that's legit though. I
do
mean,
some foundry
yeah,
work. That's
yeah.
pretty badass
I
too.
have a few samurai swords, like some
Uh-huh.
katana blades, and I've always been a fan. And I've practiced kendo and things like that. I have some wooden swords that I practice with, but I really haven't practiced forever. But
You know what's
it's
fucked
always
up?
fun.
You know what's fucked up about katanas?
Huh.
Like real true katanas. It's they're folded like the process I was just telling you about. They're supposed to be
Yeah,
folded like 1,000 times.
yeah, yeah. I've
And
heard that.
but when they do the quench at the end, you always see in the movies, and I have so many issues with metalworking in the movies. Like they'll pour like a cast of a sword, and then you'll see them hitting it, and you're like, oh, that's not how swords are made. Not how good swords are made. But they'll like a katana blade, the folds kind of give it this integrity, this structure. And so you have to fold it like 1,000 times. And when they go to quench the katana blade for the final temper process, that blade is
Yeah.
straight.
And
when it goes into the quench bath, it curves like in a second. And like even with the master, and this takes like there's like weeks of work going into this blade. And even if you're really fucking good at making katanas, like you're a master, 50% of the time your blade just snaps in half.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
That's crazy because, like, I mean,
yeah.
I'm obviously a big fan of people that have listened before know I'm into anime and Japanese culture and
I couldn't
stuff.
tell.
And
I don't know. You give me that vibe.
A long time ago, I was very much into, well, like I would say back in my teens and stuff, I saw the movie Highlander, and I was like so into Highlander because he used the katana and like the whole mythos behind the story and everything. But like, I just loved swords. I've loved swords my whole life. But um, the what you just said reminded me of that first Highlander movie when they found little shards of a blade in uh, a like a parking structure. There was like a pillar inside of a parking garage, and like the guy's sword stuck into it. And there was like it was like the first fight in the first movie where the guy got his head taken off. And there was a person there who was I don't know if they were a metallurgist or what, but they picked out these pieces of this blade and they went back and took it to the lab and studied it. And they were like, these pieces of this sword are like at least 1,000 years old. So whoever was using this sword was using like this. It's the sword was folded so many times that I think they equated it to something like it's like finding a Boeing 747 back in like the 1920s or something. Like it was so like ahead of its time because like it was so weird. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a pretty
I
cool
really like
technique.
swords.
Yeah, I never made a sword. Not like, I mean, I've made like shitty, like I've definitely cut a sword shape out of sheet metal and like ground it down for funsies. But that's not a real sword. Although, train spike, uh, what are railroad spikes,
Oh yeah,
like to
railroad
hold down
spikes.
the
Yeah.
railroad ties. Those are actually really great for blades because they've already been so hardened. They've been like pressed down by
Oh
the
wow.
train over years and years and years. And you can find them if you go to, and don't rip up railroad spikes. That's dangerous.
Right.
But
I
like,
used to find them all the time.
yeah, if
Yeah.
you go just walk along the train tracks, just, watch out for the train. Like they go faster than you think and people get hit by trains a lot. But like, yeah, I have a few when I used to, when I worked in a brothel in Nevada, like the middle of nowhere, and they had like the town was like a town of like 1,200 people, and there was the brothel was separated from the entire town by train tracks. Like we were literally on the wrong side of the tracks from the rest of the town. But I got a few railroad ties from there, that I still have that I plan to eventually make knives out of when I finally set up the forge again.
That'd be cool. So let's go into this like little interview part of
Sure.
the section of the podcast. Um, the reason I know you, I found out about you was from your podcast, from the
Yeah.
Frown Town Podcast,
Amazing. I
and
love that.
you and Jay at adjective J or at adjective underscore J. Um, he has been like a very big help to me getting this podcast off the
Oh,
ground.
he's the best.
As far
Jay's the
as that,
best. Like
he is awesome.
I don't know anybody who doesn't like Jay. And if you don't like Jay, I don't trust you.
Yeah, I mean, he's just like, I don't know. I follow him on Twitter. I follow both of you on Twitter, and like I see the stuff you guys say, and I'm like, this is totally like right up my alley. I got to get you guys on the show. And he's been instrumental with me because anybody who's listened to prior episodes knows that like me starting this show is kind of like it's a form of therapy for me because I had been through so much like, mental health crap in the past. And like, I decided, what better way to deal with a lot of the things that I've been going through by trying to help others, showing them that they're not alone by sharing my stories, and also to be more creative and start creating content and putting it out there based on some of the stuff that I've been through, and hitting up Jay and asking him how he does some of the like editing and stuff, because your guys' show had shown me, I've listened to a lot of different podcasts over the time, and I'm really not like, I'm kind of like a snob when it comes to audio, and I'm very OCD.
Yeah.
And your guys' podcast was so crisp and clear and
That's
so easy to listen to.
Jay.
And that's why I was like, I got to find out how they did this, like,
yeah,
I want to learn.
Excellent.
I want to produce.
I think that is the thing though too, because like I have found some podcasts that were like seemed right up my alley, and they had interesting topics, and the people who were on them were people that I liked, but the audio quality was just so bad that I couldn't listen to it. And it's one thing sometimes, like we've had guests before who didn't have the proper microphone equipment. They were using like their AirPods or whatever. And so the quality isn't as great, but when you have the anchor of the good quality audio for the host, it kind of makes it easier to deal with.
Yeah, exactly.
So at least for me, and
I've had that happen a few times too.
I think about what I want in a podcast, and what sounds good to me. But Jay, I can't take any credit for the audio quality because that's all Jay. And then just my mic. My dad set me up with a mic because he's rad. And I don't get like a lot from I don't get a lot from my parents, but like my dad, he's like, he doesn't really like that I'm in the sex industry, and so anytime I do something creative, he'll like throw like $100 at me or something to encourage anything that's not fucking being naked on the internet. And I'm like,
that's amazing. That's what like I'm trying to learn, because I have 3 kids, and like my kids are
how old
are always my kids are, my oldest is 15,
woof.
and then I have 13, and then the youngest, my daughter, is 11. So it's it's constantly trying to figure out like, how can I be there the best for them, like, and not be like, there's so many good examples out there of what being a bad father or bad parent is like, so I'm like, what do I need to do to make sure I don't go into that category, like, because I want to be there for him. My middle son, or my youngest son, texted me today, and he's like, Dad, I think I want to stop eating as much red meat. And I'm like, oh yeah? Well, like, why? And he's like, well, I don't want to be like a vegetarian or vegan or anything, but I think that it would really help me to focus on like, it would help me better my self-control, is what he said. And I'm like, I was like, that's interesting. And then I'm like, so how does that, he's 13.
Okay.
So,
I mean,
so I'm like,
I would keep an eye on. I would keep an eye on it. I'm going to be honest with you, as a young male person who has had eating disorders and craved self-control through food. I'm not saying don't respect his wishes. but I do think that if self-control is the reason he wants to stop eating a food, then it might be worthwhile to just, you don't have to dig, but just
Yeah.
keep an eye on it. I
Yeah.
I don't want to be
I
alarmist
kind
or anything. Uh,
I kind of wondered where it was coming from because he like never texted me to begin with. They live at
yeah.
with my ex in a different house, which is actually
Okay.
only like 2 blocks away. So I get to see him.
Cute. Cute.
I see him mostly on the weekends, but like they're coming over this weekend, and I see him on like holidays and whenever, or if they just have something they need to do, they need to come to my house and use their computers or whatever. But it was random that he texted me today and mentioned that because it was like I want him to text me more. I want him to
Yeah.
say, "Hey, Dad, what's going on?" Like how's it going, and
Yeah.
just see how things are. Like I sit there all day and all night, and before I'm like going to bed, I'm like thinking about my kids and like what they're. I'm wondering what are they thinking about? Like, do they even think about me? Are they like even considering that I exist? Like
Yeah.
it's just like,
I don't have kids, but I have like siblings who are young enough to be my children, and it's been a process because all three of them, the younger ones, they're all teenagers now. There's a 13
hmm,
year old, a 15-year-old, and 16-year-old.
wow,
And yeah, and so yeah, they're all young enough to be my children. Um, and it was interesting because what I noticed is that for a while, because we never lived together, and I didn't talk to my parents for various reasons for periods of time, so I didn't see them. And then also, like, they don't have their own phones for a while, and then they started getting their own phones, but they don't know me. And so they weren't confiding in me until like I went and I started spending more time with them in person, and then they realized, oh, you also have similar feelings about mom and dad, complicated feelings about mom and dad, and about religion, and like I know I can confide in you. So now they'll text me, and sometimes even my 15-year-old sister will call me, which is amazing. Like,
wow,
yeah, I didn't think that they called people, but they do. Uh,
yeah.
I
Nobody
barely call
calls
people.
anybody nowadays. I mean, I run my
But
own
yeah,
business and nobody calls me. I'm
she'll
like, they're
call
supposed to
me,
call
and it's
me.
just, it's like knowing that I have her confidence, in
Yeah.
things that she wants to speak about, and knowing that I have her trust, that I'll keep that confidence is so rewarding. I can only imagine how much more rewarding it would be as a father.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, that'd
I
be
think
cool.
that
Like
you just have to let them know that you're there for them. And sometimes you said he's a 13-year-old boy.
yeah.
My brother Jack is 13 years old, and that kid is like a fucking stone vault, bro. Like he's fucking weird, which I love. Like we did a Christmas. I got to see a lot of my siblings. I saw one of my oldest youngest brother for the first time in 7 years during Christmas. And I was like,
Oh wow.
I know I'm taking a risk, but we're all vaccinated, so I'm gonna go to this. And
Hmm.
I hung out with like my siblings and my mom and her husband, and it was it was just so funny. Like he had a ladle that he was very attached to, that he was wearing on his head a lot throughout the trip. No one knows why. He's just weird. And then
It was a
we
what?
a ladle, like a soup ladle.
Soup. Okay, I thought that's what you said, but I was like,
Yeah,
let
yeah.
me double check.
And then he like my mom bought all these clear ornaments because she had us basically make every ornament for the Christmas tree that she also brought to the Airbnb
Oh wow.
because she hadn't seen all our kids. Well, there was one of us was missing, but she hadn't seen this many of her kids all at once in so long that she like did every possible Christmas thing. Like we all made a gingerbread house. There was like a neighborhood of like fucked up gingerbread
Wow.
houses, and we all made Christmas ornaments. And like she like went, we all made Christmas hats with our names on it and glitter. Um yeah, she went all out. And
Wow.
but Jack took it upon himself to take one of these clear like glass ball ornaments, and he filled it with like all of the liquids he could find in the kitchen, and it was
Hmm.
mostly olive oil, I think. It was really gross, but it was also really beautiful. And so I was like, oh yeah, we're fucking related for sure.
It's like an
But
early
he's,
chemist. Like,
yeah, he's also just like, he's not very like, whenever I go there, like my sister, she'll run up and be like, "Hi, I missed you." And be like, come and see my shit. Like, look at all these drawings I did," and like go through her whole sketchbook and tell me about all of her friends and her little boyfriend, and it's very cute. And then Jack will come downstairs when my mom calls him and be like, "Hey, what's up?" And then he'll run back upstairs to like, I don't know, play Minecraft or something. I don't know what they do.
yeah. Yeah, my kids they all have their own computers in their rooms upstairs at my house, and they like it. You have to pry them out of their little hidey holes because they go in
Yeah.
when they come over for the weekend. They pretty much disappear for the whole weekend into their rooms and don't come out unless they need something to eat or something to drink,
Yeah.
and then they go back, and it's like I have to like stop them, like
I
in
mean,
their
Jack
tracks
is
and be like,
definitely like that, but it's funny because my little sister who's 15, she's in like I don't know, what is it? Not 4-H, but one of those like agriculture things.
hmm,
She lives in Texas. So uh she's raising a lamb right now. And they also have a chicken coop in
oh
the
wow,
backyard. So yeah, so I was at my mom's house for Thanksgiving. And a few of the days that I was there, my family wasn't there. But I was like, I want to see you guys for Thanksgiving. So I'm gonna come down and I'm gonna, you know, I'll be there before you leave, and then I'll be there when you get back, kind of thing.
hmm.
And they left, and so I told them, I was like, I'll watch your pets. And my mom and her family, they have, or her immediate house family, they have 3 dogs, 2 cats, 7 chickens, and then my sister, they also have a betta fish, and then my sister has a lamb that lives at a barn 6 miles like away from their house. And so
Whoa, 6 miles.
yeah, so like every morning it was just this thing. I would like I usually, they have a really big screen TV, so I'd like fall asleep watching TV with like four, because I brought my dog too, so I had like 4 dogs piled on me like a dog blanket. And then I'd fall asleep, and then I'd wake up to a dog licking my face because they had to go outside. I'd let the dogs outside. I'd feed all 4 dogs. Then I would go and I would like sprinkle the chicken feed and water the chicken. And then luckily someone else was taking care of the lamb in the evening. But in the evening I had to, deal with the chickens, get the eggs, feed the dogs, feed the cats, and then go, and then also keep my dog away from the cat food. He gained like a pound that trip. And then drive, and then go and like, I had to like, it was like scooping a giant litter box, like this whole lamb's little area. And like I tried to pet her, but she would stomp her feet on the ground like angrily. So I was like, okay, you seem like you're good. I'm not going to try and pet you anymore. Cause she was like, they said she was a lamb, but she was like big. She was practically a sheep. And I would have to feed her, and yes, feed her, scoop her poop, get the water bucket, and then also like haul her poop out to a dumpster. And these little bitches, and I don't, I shouldn't call them bitches. They're like high school girls, but like they would share a muck bucket, a bucket where they would scoop their poop into. And it's almost like a Russian roulette, but with poop. Like If you're the one who gets there when the bucket gets filled up, then you have to take it. And it weighs like it's a 5-gallon bucket full of sand and poop. It's not light. And
Jeez.
like, I'm still recovering from a broken arm. So I considered it physical therapy, but I was like sweating. I
That,
was
damn.
sweating. And my little sister is 15 and she fucking does this shit like no problem. Like,
Wow.
damn, you're tiny, but you're strong.
That going back to my original question at the start of the podcast was like, what makes a badass? Hauling around a 5-gallon bucket full of sheep poop.
Listen, I'm just glad that somebody in my family is knowing about agriculture, because
Oh
I'm
yeah.
definitely a prepper type. Um, I tend to prep. I always have like extra food ready just in case, like the fucking all the supply chains, everybody's going on strike. Like, you gotta fucking make sure that you know how to be.
Do you have like a bug out bag? Like
Yes, I
time to
have a
go.
few.
Just
I have
grab
a
that.
few. I have a few depending on the circumstance.
Yeah. I'm not like a prepper. Like and it's weird to think because of my military
Because of
background
how
and
much you love
survival
swords.
training. Yeah, like and like all this stuff. I mean, I know how to shoot like almost every kind of weapon that's out there.
Oh,
But the
cool.
the way that I think about it is like this. It's like I have the resources, like I know how to do things, how to
Sure.
survive. So when the zombie apocalypse comes, like right now with my mental health and me part of being a conscientious person is I
Yeah.
realize I don't need a weapon in my house because I
Okay.
have kids and I'm a responsible adult and I don't want to lose my sanity one day and then grab a weapon and hurt somebody.
Yeah.
So I figure it's the best choice to not have a weapon. And when the time comes when I need a weapon because I have zombies to kill, I know how to get into like the local National Guard armory. I know how to get into that. It's like I know how to loot. I can
Well, I
just
mean,
go
here's the
to
thing. I was
a
I was thinking
neighbor's
about this.
house that
I
that
was
has all this
watching
stuff and just take it. Like
28 Weeks Later tonight, and I was thinking, I was like, man, America, we really prepared for the wrong apocalypse. We would be set in a zombie apocalypse because everybody has a fucking gun.
yeah,
Like, we would be fucking, and
absolutely.
New York would be fucked, but like, we would be fucking set. Um, but that's not that you can't shoot your way out of COVID. I think that's the thing that we're
Right.
learning is that,
And that's the thing it just sucks so bad because like everything is like for me like this whole like apocalypse thing, like it is like full of zombies or, and some kind of threat of a nuclear weapon or some kind of just other crazy like Handmaid's Tale kind of thing that, the right wing rises up and
yeah.
starts causing chaos and but like it's not what I'm prepared for. Like I
But
like
also,
COVID is
here's
not
a,
I it's almost like life is normal, but
yeah.
everybody's dying at the same time. So
So,
it's really
so
sucks.
here's a thing that's very interesting to me. So I've always been kind of an apocalypse prepper type person, at least a little bit, even before all this. And I remember I was talking to my friend Howie Echo Hawk, and they're an amazing indigenous. They would hate if I called them a comedian, but they are so funny. Um, and they're indigenous, and they were laughing one time when I was talking about like prepping for the apocalypse because they were saying something like, do you realize there are like 600 people left in my tribe? Like, my people already went through an apocalypse. We're currently
Right?
living through our apocalypse. And so that's the
Yeah.
thing. It's like when you say this thing of like, oh yeah, it's so crazy that like all these people are dying, but like everything is normal. And that's kind of, I mean, it's not the same experience as Native people because that was like way more intense, but like it's
Right.
also still a fucking thing. Like a lot of the reservations have totally like closed the roads down, and they've had spats with government officials over closing the roads to reservations and shit like that. Hawaii, they've
Yeah.
been asking people like, please, dear God, do not come here. We don't even want to be part of the United States. Fuck
Right.
off. Did
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, like the history of our country, like going back to like not even like, was it like 300 something years? Like, um, yeah, like those people have been through it, you know, and like the white man brought all this disease and
it.
like
Did it. Oh, you know
pestilence and
what's
all this stuff.
interesting?
It's like,
You know what's interesting? So the other day I was looking at the worldwide COVID map, and
yeah.
one thing that I thought was funny was that like so like every country has a little circle over it, like a translucent circle that represents the number of cases. So the more cases, the bigger the
Mm,
circle is. And when you
yeah, I
look at the
think I
world
saw that.
map, yeah, when
It's
you look
very
at the world map, the one that's over the United States is so big that it encapsulates like multiple continents. But if you look at this world map, all of the places where COVID is strongest and has the most infected is where white people live. So the United States is really super infected. Europe right now is really super infected. Australia. And then South America, their numbers are way lower than North America. But then you look at Argentina and it's like, psh, you know
yeah.
about Argentina, right?
Um,
Argentina is
what?
where all the Nazis moved after World War II. So there's a lot of like
Oh,
white people in Argentina.
okay. Yeah, I
Yeah,
do remember that.
I
Like,
went to college with a girl who was Argentinian, and she had this like gold necklace, and she bragged about how it was like, okay, trigger warning for like people who are descendants of Holocaust survivors, but she bragged about the necklace being made out of like teeth that like gold teeth that had been melted down. And I was
jeez.
like, this is she like said it like it was an interesting fact because she had gotten it from like her great grandpa or some shit. And I was like, this is not an interesting fact. This is like this
Morbid shit.
you're making genocide into a fun party fact. Ugh. Yeah, ugh,
Jeez.
I gotta shake it off.
It's
So gross even
like
to
they
think
went
about.
through and oh man. Like gold teeth that they like found in like Auschwitz or something after like
Yes, it
oh
was gold
Jesus.
teeth. It was gold teeth from Jewish people that and gay people and you know
Yeah.
anyone who they didn't
Jeez.
like that were melted down and turned into a necklace that was then passed down to her from her great grandfather or whatever. And this was like fucking Boston, which Boston is like, oh, we're super liberal. And like Massachusetts was the first one to legalize gay marriage. And it's like, okay, well then why aren't there more than one gay bar in Boston? And like you go to Boston and you're like, oh, there's two gay bars, right? There's Machine and there's the Ramrod. And then you realize, no, it's just Machine on some nights and Ramrod on other nights, and it's right next
Oh
to the
man.
fucking Fenway Park. So when you come out of the gay club and you're wasted and you're like not ready, some fucking Red Sox fan like pulls up and is like fucking faggot, and like it's problematic.
Uh like Ben Affleck
Boston,
and Matt Damon drive
ugh,
by and
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly.
oh jeez. Hey, let's take a break real quick and then
All
we'll
right,
come back with everybody. I like to split the episode. Makes it a little easier to edit later.
hell yeah,
So sweet. All right, we'll be right back.
peace out. entertain us. I feel stupid and contagious.
Contagious. All right, everybody, we are back. We are the. You okay there?
Yeah, I just, phlegm in my throat from some mystery virus that apparently isn't COVID. I don't even fuck.
Oh, Jesus. So, everybody out there, welcome back to the Wormhole Manifest podcast. I'm sitting here with
Come on,
VeeChattie
the manifest.
from the
On the manifest.
from the Frown Town Podcast. We talked about on the last segment, before we took a break, some of V's family visits during the holidays, his sister's lamb and buckets of poop, a bit about
Buckets of
apocalypse prepping, but we did not get into who V is and what
Who am
you're
I?
about. You do the Frown
What
Town
am
podcast
I?
with Jay Jones,
Yes,
which is
do.
about.
I love Jay Jones.
Jay Jones is awesome.
It's about laws.
It's about there's comedians talk
two
about
comedians
laws,
trying to
impact.
understand legislation.
Mm-hmm. And how we can take actions to improve our world. And you guys can find that podcast everywhere that podcasts are available. I love that podcast. I feel like the thing about it that I identify with it is how open you guys are at talking to anyone at a level that anyone can understand. Because I'm not that bright.
Same. I've done too many whippets, bro.
I'm not that educated. I do have a college degree, but I don't think it matters because I stopped going to school in like 7th grade. I didn't go to high school. I got a GED.
You fucking
I started
saved
taking
so
college.
much time.
I started taking college art classes because I was an artist back then in my early 20s or my late teens. And I ended up joining the military because I was sick of my life and I was an alcoholic. So I was like, what do I need to do? I need to go on an adventure and get out of
My first
here.
response, I wanted to be like gross, but then also I remember when I was in the 8th grade and I went through a phase where I like watched the movie G.I. Jane. And I was like, I was like, oh, you mean I can like sign up for this thing and it's free and like muscular men will drown me until I can barely breathe and then bring me up for air and like make me crawl in the dirt. Yeah, I want to do that.
Wow. Okay. I mean,
that's what I feel about the military. It just feels very kinky.
I think G.I. Jane came out when I was like, I think I had already been in for 3 or 4 years in the Marines, active duty. I'm in my mid 40s.
Okay, so I'm almost in my mid 30s. So it came out for me when I was like in 7th or 8th grade.
Oh, wow.
And it was very formative. Demi Moore, fucking yes, queen. Thank you for awakening my sexuality. But also, like, thank you to those like filthy fucking men drowning Demi Moore in troughs of shit. That's how I remember it. It was like dirty water, it like wasn't clean water. And they were like drowning her and she was like, blah, 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 blah. But then when she was done, she was like, oh yeah, this is the best.
I don't even remember what the movie was about. Like, I remember
I don't either.
that.
I just remember the drowning scene because I was also like a Baptist, so I was like really into being baptized
Baptism
in the water. I was really into being drowned. by a man bigger than me.
Like do you ever watch Archer and the character like the
Yeah.
Cheryl or Carol or the London
Cheryl.
secretary? She's
Cheryl,
like,
who loves to be choked.
yeah,
I am Cheryl. I am Cheryl. And
she's like
someday
my favorite because she's
I will unfortunately happen upon a serial killer who overdoes. I've accepted
what's the
this.
safe word?
The safe word is ah! No, the safe word is you tap 3 times on their shoulder with your hand. You gotta have a nonverbal safe word when you're doing choke. That's just a shout out to everybody. I know choking has become super popular lately, but I'm a choking old school person, and I'm saying if you're gonna do choking, you need to come up with a safe word that is nonverbal. So it can be like a
Yeah,
wrestling tap, like a like
yeah,
a
yeah,
double
yeah. Tap
tap.
out.
Just tap twice, tap them out. That works. Tap 3 times. Whatever you need to do, but like, please come up with nonverbal safe words. I actually knew someone who their nonverbal safe word was jazz hands. It was great. It was great. It was very apparent when they were done. They were just like, jazz hands, fuck off.
What are you drinking there?
Oh, this is uh what is this is some old granddad bonded, which is if you don't know what bonded whiskey is, it's like federally
Hmm.
overseen, and
Oh,
it has to be bottled at exactly 100 proof. And it has to be from one distillery in one season.
hmm.
So yeah, it's the whole thing. Oh shit. Hold on.
Nice.
I need to I need to grab a charger. I forgot to do that. Oh my god. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. We can pause real quick.
Take a break. La 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 la.
We are taking a quick break, everyone, and we will be back. I will cut this whole segment out, I think, on the final edit, but I'm not going to stop recording because that's just too much work to splice multiple tracks together.
Okay. I forgot how much work my computer has to do to podcast.
That's okay.
All right. Well, what were we saying? Or did you have a next question? Because I think we went way off track.
We kind of did, but that's okay. Okay, so I recapped the first segment, and then we went into some other stuff. And let's see, we were talking about the podcast, your podcast. What I want to
My
go back
podcast.
into is, I know that you and Jay on your show talk a lot about laws and all that, and how people
Yes.
can, you know, do things on their end as citizens um, to help, whether it's voting or getting out there and just understanding what's going on. Um, Besides that, because I don't know jack shit about laws, I don't know
Sure.
anything, but like
Me neither.
I've learned a shitload of stuff just from listening to you guys.
Hell yeah.
I want to get into you though. That sounds fucked up. Phrasing.
Sure,
um,
sure.
how is your mental health? Because you've been through a lot. Like you've shared a lot of things on your show and what you've
Sure.
been dealing with. And my show is centralized around mental health, and that doesn't mental health as a idea or as a subject matter does not pertain to like one particular person or type of person or race of people or it's a human condition. Like, we all have different variations of mental health issues, and a lot of my experience recently in the past 2 years, with doing a lot of research on how I can help my mental health by using psychedelic drugs. Um, and the things that I've experienced in the past year and a half or so has opened up my mind to like whole plethora of like just ideas of how us as humans have evolved to the point that we're at in our society, and conjunction with like the way you guys talk about laws and things. Like, a lot of those laws back in the 70s is the things that had banned these substances from the mainstream. Like, they had banned them
Sure.
for use. And there was a lot of research before that from like the 50s, from like the 30s, 40s, and 50s, before they were banned in the 70s and the war on drugs began. Um, there was some research being done for mental health, and this was all very new back then. But if you go back into cultures like we were talking about earlier, like indigenous cultures, there's cultures in South America that have been using substances of the psychedelic nature, um, for thousands of years, and they've been using
Yes.
them in ceremony, and they've been using them in ways that have helped the tribe or the culture back then. And back then, there's no record of things like mental health issues or whatever before like maybe 40 years ago. Like, there's like
Well,
people treated
you're
people
going by
back
the
in,
DSM.
yeah. And
Yeah.
it's just, there's the treatments for people with mental health conditions a long time ago were very, strict and like ridiculous, because they didn't know how to treat people back then, and it was like,
Right.
you know it was insane. They were given like lobotomies and things like that, and now that we are in
So,
this new psychedelic renaissance, and things are being
I mean,
approved
there
now.
was when LSD was first invented. Do you know about like Operation Midnight Climax?
Oh,
Um,
no.
so there was this CIA dude, because fuck the CIA, man. They fucking fuck with so much shit. But the CIA, they had this guy, George White, who was kind of just like a con man type dude. And he basically got permission to dose anyone at any time with LSD for any
Hmm.
reason. And he would just fucking go on like subway train cars and just aerosol LSD into the air. And then fucking leave after he witnessed the effect. Like, and so, and uh there was a happening, I guess you call it, in France, this small village in France, where a bunch of people experienced what they thought was like ergot poisoning, because ergot poisoning is the basis of LSD. And like, if
Yeah.
your bread gets a specific kind of mold, it makes you hallucinate, and then they can take that mold and make LSD. But like, people like jumped out of windows, like people were fucking freaking out, and they actually think the CIA dosed this like random little French town to test LSD, because they were testing it
Was this like
for a
after
while.
the 30s? Like, after, I mean, obviously, like, because when
This
Alexander Strogan, or was it Shogun? Damn it, my brain is off because I've been drinking. Um, the guy that invented LSD, or not invented, you don't invent something, you just find it.
Sure.
From damn it, why am I forgetting the name? It's like we just celebrated his birthday. It's like Bicycle Week, like Bicycle Day is the day that not Shogun. Shogun is Sasha Shogun, who is another chemist who did a lot of other synthesization.
So the the mass poisoning in France was in
Hoffman, Albert
1951.
Hoffman.
Albert Hoffman. Wait, no, that I'm thinking of Abby Hoffman, who wrote
Albert Hoffman
Steal
was
This
the
Book.
one that first synthesized LSD and in the
But
30s.
so Pont a Spirit mass poisoning in 1951. But yeah, like it was over 250 people. 50 people in the town ended up in asylums and 7 people died. And there
Wow.
was like a little CIA operation happening apparently at the time.
That totally reminds me of, and I don't know if you've seen this, but for like, I think it was a while back, maybe 10 years ago or so, there was a show about Leonardo da Vinci, and it was called Da Vinci's Demons. And it
Okay.
was a fucking awesome
Was it
show.
on the History Channel?
Yes, I think so. It was great. Like, it was
right next to the aliens guy.
like the people that I was friends with back then, because before I got out of the military, they were like, "Oh, you got to check out this this Da Vinci's Demons show," because they knew what I was into. They were like, "You're like art and history and all this stuff," and the one guy that was kind of my friend back then was like, he's like, "I don't really like it because it has like a lot of gay stuff in it," and I was like, "Okay." But I watched it and I loved it. I was like, of course, Leonardo da Vinci, he was all about like drawing and painting like nude figures and he was constantly drawing dicks on everything, like that's his character. Like he was just like,
he was like a 15-year-old boy.
Yeah. But he was also about figuring out how shit works, like you throw a pomegranate
he was also
at something.
Dissecting those dicks.
he was just figuring shit out, like how does this is life, we need to like explore everything, and that's kind of like how it was. But like that show was cool because like it had those elements of like the mathematics and like the visuals, almost like you see kind of on like hallucinogens when you're like picturing something in your mind and you see like the math floating out in front of you, and like you see like the things like changing form and like rebuilding itself on whatever the structure is you're looking at. Like I just imagine that that's kind of how Da Vinci was. It was like when he was making his inventions, he was like, this thing can connect to that thing, and if you rotate this thing and it maneuvers this thing, it will just kind of it works. It fucking works. We can make things fly. We can do whatever. But yeah, so that show was cool. Like, and they had an episode in that where there was a monastery, and in the monastery there was a group of nuns, and the nuns and the whatever that were living there, they had a ritual of kissing the feet of a statue that was in this like kind of a garden area, like outside, and on the feet was growing this fungus. And when they would kiss the feet, they would get like infected with the spores of the fungus, and then later would start to hallucinate and go through they would get sick, and they would have like these like major fits of hallucinations and stuff. But the other people, they didn't know, because it wasn't like a medically like scientific explored area. So they were like, these people that are acting this way are they're possessed by demons. And so it took Da Vinci going there to explore the area, and then he realized that there is a chemical compound in this stuff that is in this water. There's like a fountain, and the feet of the statue that these nuns have been kissing had this substance in it that was affecting them like a drug. And it was just like, when I saw that, like as soon as I saw one of the nuns kiss the feet, I'm like, they're kissing some kind of substance. They're ingesting a drug, and they're going to start tripping. And that's what happened. And I was like, holy shit. So a lot of the stuff back in the day, when we think about things like witches and people, even people that have, you know, people that have been like sacrificed for being like crazy or whatever, you know, or insane, you know, they may not have been actually insane. They may have just induced some kind of chemical substance, and they were in a different plane of reality. And so people around them were like, this person's freaking out. Let's kill him. You know, like, it's fucked
Yeah.
up shit. um, okay. So that was the long tangent. Sorry about that. V, what kind of drugs do you like?
I mean, allegedly, I like all drugs. I don't know. I feel like I've had some pretty good psychedelic experiences. I've had some hard psychedelic experiences.
Those are the
Um,
best sometimes.
yeah, I don't know. The first time I ever did mushrooms when I was in college, I ended up, all of my roommates left the house because I was being really annoying and I was like personally haunting our house. I was just like wandering through the hallways going, ooh. So everybody got wicked annoyed with me because it was very hot. It was in Boston in like the mid 2000s, and everybody was super fucking annoyed with me because I was making ghost noises and it was 100 degrees and it never got that hot. And after about like 2 hours of haunting my own house, I decided I was going to go on a journey. I went, I walked, well, I was walking to if you're from Boston and you know Boston at all, basically I walked from North Cambridge up by Davis Square all the way to Oak Square in Brighton, which is about 7 miles, um, on the hottest day of the year.
Wow.
But on the way there, I was like, I work at Starbucks. I'm going to stop by my work and get an iced tea. Don't go to work when you're high. It's not going to help you. Uh, don't do it. Even if you can get a free iced tea, just pay a few dollars for an iced tea. It will serve you better. But I got my iced tea and I kept walking, and this particular path that I took, there were no trees, there was no shade. And I had, at the very least, I had put on sunscreen, but the thing was about the sunscreen is that it felt way too thick. And
Hmm.
so like I put it on my body, but then like I felt like no matter how much I rubbed it in, it like didn't rub in. So I like wiped my whole body down with a towel. And then I walked 7 miles on a 110-degree day.
Wow.
And I made it there. And luckily, the people whose house I showed up to were like very well versed in people who are tripping way too hard. And were like, hey, I don't know you. You're one of my roommate's friends, and they're not going to be home from work for 2 hours. But here's a book about space. Why don't you sit in this one air conditioned room and just flip through the pages?
Oh, wow.
So I've had my
So you
my
were
fair share.
so you took shrooms, and then you went on a little journey outside
Yes.
locally. That's
Yeah, I
That's
walked
like,
7 miles in 110-degree heat with no tree cover.
wow.
It's not a good idea.
No, it's not. Like,
But
I mean,
it did feel very cleansing, but also, oh my God, I just remembered I like called my sister. Okay, so I have a lot of sisters, but like this sister, she's like my closest sister. We're like, less than 18 months apart. And I had called her because I had felt this extreme like bursting of love for her. And so I called her. But then once I got on her voicemail, I didn't remember how to speak. So she just got this voicemail that just kind of sounded like,
that is awesome.
yeah,
That's like
it's
a true, I mean, that is a language in itself. If anybody out there hears this and you are getting a message from a loved one and you hear something like what V just said, just know that that is a
it's the
language
deepest
that
love.
comes from pure love. And yeah, that's awesome. I've never had an experience like that because I mean I've back in my 20s some uh I did some psychedelics, mostly LSD. But I was in such a confined area, or like I did it one time when I was, or I did it one time at a party that I was I dropped the L, and I went to my old work and I hooked up with some friends, and then we got a ride to a party, and I was coming up the whole time, and I like tripped during the party and the whole thing. I was talking to random people. It was very confusing. It was a very I got lost in the house that I was at because I had never been there before. And I was like, holy shit, like, where am I? Like, how do I get out of here? And it was like, it was very confusing. And I don't even know how I ended up back at home at the end of the night at that. And I did several other times where I would just do it just at my house, my apartment. I had a one-room studio apartment at one point, and I would trip there and just do art or like draw and like watch anime or TV or whatever. Um, but I hadn't done it so much like outside, and that was like that's what I'm
Oh, I
learning
love
now.
LSD outside.
That's what I'm learning now is that in the past year and a half of my studies of the healing factors of hallucinogenic drugs or psychedelics is that you can really get in tune with nature when you're
Yeah.
outside and you're
I
and
fell in
I
love with
want
a log.
and I learned how to grow shrooms, and I've been growing my own shrooms for a while. I haven't in
Allegedly.
a while, but yeah. But I haven't tried them outside. That's the thing. It's like it's a weird thing. Like I don't have there's I don't know. I'm a very indoor kind of
I
person,
don't know.
and
I feel like my favorite time. I mean, I do love the very controlled door uh trip, but I also love a very like mystical, wild outdoor trip. I'm going to, let's say, a hot spring that's up
oh
in
my god.
Snoqualmie, and someone else drive, but you can look up at the stars and see all these constellations, and it's amazing. Or like, uh,
I've never been to
I
a
had a
hot springs, and I want to go so
I had
bad,
a
like
friend who was a
Japan.
geologist, and uh, so I would just like do LSD, and we would go to a ravine camp, and I'll be like, "What's this? What's this? What's this? What's this? What's this?" And she would tell me everything. because she's a scientist and she thinks it's fun and interesting to tell me what these rock. It's a good time.
Science is awesome. I love science.
It is.
I especially love science and learning about science stuff when I'm high, because I'm like, oh my God, there's so much stuff that I don't know. And like when you're an old guy like me who's been around the world a few times and has seen things that other people only dream and imagine they could possibly see, and I've seen them with my own two eyes, and the I don't have the appreciation that some people that imagine seeing those things does, because I've been there and I've seen it, and I like am thinking, what is wrong with me? Because I'm like not impressed. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? You know? Like seriously.
I don't know, I'm impressed with most nature that I see. Like, I don't
I've
know,
like
but I'm also impressed when I see like a pretty like spectacularly degraded house on the side of the road. So
yeah.
I'm impressed. I'm easily impressed.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of a rule. Like that's what we have to like think to ourselves, is like when we see something, we have to appreciate it for what it is and what we take in and what we, um and as like an old artist, I'm getting back into being creative, and I kind of dismissed the whole artist thing for a long time. And I was like,
Sure.
I'm not an artist. I don't know what the hell this means from this, from what this is. But like when I was younger, I wanted to be, that's all I dreamed of being, was an artist. And I was like, what does that mean even? Do we create things for others to appreciate, or do we, but by studying other previous artists before us, we realize that we as humans create things, and we create to express ourselves. And when we express ourselves, others interpret what they see from our expression. And I think that's kind of like the whole thing, is like, you know, what do we do? And that's why I'm like trying to do this podcast, because I want to have interesting people on this show, and we can talk about different things and get different perspectives, because that's really what life is about, is like learning and growing and evolving. And like if we stop and we stop thinking and we just like accept everything around us as what it is and what we are, and we don't continue to change our mind about things, then I think we've stopped evolving. So it's like, I think that's something I want to get out there. Something I want to like keep this show going. I want to like say,
We're
let's keep
evolving whether
evolving.
we like it. We're evolving whether we like it or not.
That's true. I mean, yeah. So where are we at now? I am here and you are here, and we've come to this point where I have to say, how is this podcast going? What what got you in, like, out of all the things that you've been doing, and where you're at now, you're doing the podcast and stuff, but what got you into comedy as a thing? Like,
um, I had I had been into comedy since I was like in middle school. I really liked Eddie Izzard, and uh I didn't understand how people did that. And then in college I ended up dating a comedian and I started doing comedy that way. And I was like, "Oh, you can just like go out and fucking do it. All right, chill." Let's do it.
How does one go about getting into comedy or stand up? Like, how do you
I mean,
start doing
bef-
that? Like,
before COVID happened, it was just you would go to open mics and do, 3 to 5 minutes.
hmm,
Now there's a lot of online open mic. I don't know. Don't ask me about it. I kind of dipped out of comedy for the last few years because I find it to be, I don't know. I'm not into it so much anymore.
oh my, uh,
There's just, I just see too many comedians out there who I know aren't making any money, like performing and sharing a mic with other people, like during a literal pandemic. And I'm just like, you're not getting paid for this. Stop it.
yeah, yeah, that's got to be tough. I mean, like that's the thing I think about the most when it comes to stand up comics is like, you're performing for a crowd normally in
Yeah,
the
and
old
laughing is one of
times.
the like most like spraying of bacteria activities that you can do.
Yeah,
And so it
yeah,
just for me, like I was doing some shows when it was warmer, but when things started to spike again, I was like, no, I can't do this anymore. And then seeing all of these people continuing to do comedy when COVID is spiking so fucking high and everything is overloaded is just very disappointing to me.
yeah, yeah. That's rough.
So, as far as getting into stand-up comedy, for the next year or so, I would say fucking don't. Just make a TikTok and try to be as funny as you can until
Yeah.
this pandemic slows down or
Yeah, there's
something.
like so many avenues. That's another thing I was kind of thinking of. I didn't have it written down, but now that I think about it, like um when you have classic careers like stand-up comedy, like now with our age of social media and TikTok and all that, like how does that affect a traditional stand-up comic when it comes to people that provide so much online content that is either
I mean, I
comedic
have no
or
idea because it's so new. Like there's
yeah.
like for example, Robin Tran, she got famous on TikTok. She did her special in a comedy club right before COVID and started releasing her snippets of her comedy club appearance on
Mm,
TikTok. And so now she's doing all sorts of shows and shit, and that's amazing. Um, but like it's the thing is that most comedy clubs are trying to like pay you as little as they possibly fucking can.
mm,
And so, like, any comedian who's like, oh, I need to do a comedy show, like, ask them how much are they getting paid? Because most of them are getting paid in like drink tickets and like, okay, you can get like a free dinner. Like, is a free dinner really worth it? And when you're in a bar,
wow.
like, they say that you need to be vaxxed and masked, but you can not wear a mask if you're drinking a beverage. And so most people just drink a beverage throughout the whole show so that they're unmasked throughout the whole show.
Mm,
So yeah, I don't know. I just feel like stand-up comedy is a fucking liability right now.
ah, man, that sucks too because like I mean the world needs you, you know. The
It's
the
a
the
young
world
sport.
the world needs comedy right now.
Comedy
And
has
that's
existed in many forms and will continue to do so. stand-up
Yeah.
comedy is a very narrow form of comedy. And that's what people need to understand, is there's
Yeah.
so many different kinds of comedy happening outside of stand-up comedy, and stand-up comedy is not fucking 100% pure, like, fucking comedy form. Only stand-ups think that. They think that stand-up comedy is, like, the purest form of comedy, and it's fucking not. Like, fuck you. Improv people at least can fucking make something up on the spot. Anyway, I'm just bitter.
That's good though. That's I love to hear your point of view. Um, it's I think it's reassuring because I know that there's a lot of people out there who maybe uh, I for one have only been to like a handful of like stand up comic shows, and I remember them, and I remember them because they were so. I mean, I was there,
Cringy.
and when you're there in a situation and you remember it, it stands out in your mind. But like, there's I've seen like dozens of stand up comic videos on like Netflix or YouTube or whatever, and I see those comics and I remember those too. And then I remember the ones when I was a kid and I saw on like videotape, like the Eddie Murphy and the oh crap, what was the name? I saw it. It was just there. Um, my older brother, used to rent videos from the local video store, and when my parents were away, he would say, "Hey, let's watch this funny tape. It's a funny guy." And I'm like, "A funny guy? What does that mean?" Like it's just like Jerry Lewis. Like because to me, Jerry Lewis was a funny guy because all of his movies were like to me as a kid hilarious. And
Right.
so we prop he'd put in the tape and it'd be like Richard Pryor or you know uh or some other comedian, and they did their live stand up set and it was on a videotape, and I was like, holy shit, like this is so vulgar. Like, and I was like 9 or 10, and it was my brother was just like, parents weren't there, so didn't matter. But the majority of it I didn't think was funny because I was like, this is gross. What is he talking about? Like, but then later, as I got older, I realized that my brother was just trying to be cool and show me things
Right.
that adults wouldn't show me, and was trying to be the one to introduce me to things that were like adult ideas or, whatever. But like
Sure.
that Richard Pryor stuff and that like Eddie Murphy stuff that young like stood out for a long time, and it may have been a contributing factor to things as I became an adult, to like toxic masculinity and other things. But like I try not to
Sure.
look too deep into it. I'm like, it was what it was. I am dealing with my own issues and I realize things for what they were. And also like comedy in itself or any kind of creative material is um there has to be like a creative freedom at some point, like for whatever we're doing. Like for this podcast, I'm creating things and I'm
Yeah,
introducing
but you
people to
also have
things.
to know your audience.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you're doing stand-up comedy, oftentimes the audience is different every single night. You have to scan people in the crowd and be like,
uh
who's my
yeah,
audience and how am I going to perform for them?
yeah. And that's got to be tough. I can't even imagine like um I'm not a very good public speaker. I've had a class on it, and I basically bombed it because I ended up talking for
Nice.
20 minutes and not asking any person out in the audience questions that pertain to them because everybody said it was very interesting information I was sharing, but they were like, I didn't engage the audience because I was just like too busy rambling on. And that's
Right.
what I'm hoping to avoid with this podcast. But
That's what we're all trying to avoid with our podcast, is rambling on.
oh, geez. Okay, so, man, where do we go from here? It's already kind of late. Let's go ahead and start wrapping up. V, has been amazing having you on here. I loved having you on here and hearing your stories, hearing your perspective. Where can everybody find you on social
You
media?
can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and the TikToks at VeeChattie. That's VeeChattie. Yeah, follow me and say hi. And if you say hi, then I'm more likely to follow you, because sometimes I don't always know people follow
And I will go ahead and say that you are on the Frown Town Podcast at
me. Yeah.
Frown Town Pod. Everybody can find you there.
Yes, absolutely.
It's an amazing podcast. Everybody should check it out. It's also with Jay Jones. Jay is an amazing human being as well, and has guided
The
me
best.
into starting this podcast. So I thank him very much. I have a shout out for at Jarred H, or Jarred the Wyrd-Worker. I can't say, what's wrong with me? The W's, Wyrd-Worker. He was the witch that was on my last episode of the first season. I was introduced to him by at Just Call Me Frank, my friend Frankie, who had followed him for a while and introduced me. And I was like, that was a very interesting episode. And I look back on that, and I hope to keep expanding on ideas like I had during that episode to increase the I don't know, just to make the episodes in the future better.
Heighten the vibes, bro.
Yeah. V, I don't know if there's anything else we can cover. I don't know what else you want to share, or hopefully we can get you back. If I can get
My
you, if
mind
I
is
can.
blank like a Barbie.
Oh man, drugs are awesome. I think I
Yeah,
want
I'll
to do
come back
something.
anytime. Let me know.
Okay, I appreciate that. Let's see. I'm going through my notes here. I'm making sure I didn't miss anything. I have so much more to bring to this show in the future. Lots of sketch things I was thinking up of, like different scripted sketches. I was trying to think of doing some stuff like that in the future. But mainly, I want to keep the general theme of the show around mental health, because um, it's very important. I believe mental health, and constantly thinking of how we are doing as people in this society. There's a lot of fucked up shit out there in the world that drains our energy. It drains us as people. It drains us of who we think we are, and it makes us question everything about our reality. So, if there's anything that I can do to help, that's what I want to do, because I've been to the depths of a mental health crisis, and it is not fun. I don't want to return there. I lost many years off of my life because of that situation, and I don't want to repeat that. So if anybody else is in that same situation, I want to be here to tell you that you are not alone, and there is a way out of that situation. We have to work together. We have to be open-minded. We have to be here for each other. And overall, we just have to be who we are and know that it's okay to not be okay. So everyone out there,
Also, your meds are not the man.
yes, exactly. I have gotten off 7 different medications in the past 2 years, and I'm down to 1. And I feel better than I've ever felt in my life because of it. And it's not just because of the meds, but because of all the work that I've done to get to the point that I'm
Mm-hmm.
at. So there's not a magic bullet out there. There's not a magic pill. There's not a red pill or a blue pill that can take you out of the matrix. There
You know
is
what though? I've been
you.
loving those green pills and those orange pills. Talk about Dayquil and NyQuil.
I need to get better sleep because I have been an
Oh, you
insomniac
should get
lately.
fucking that purple pill, bro. That fucking ZZZQuil into your fucking face.
I need something
Love it.
because I have not been sleeping
Take
good
a
lately.
ZzzQuil. Take a ZzzQuil. As a professional insomniac, let me tell you, ZzzQuil. If you want to get on like a fucking day timer schedule, currently I am nocturnal, so that's the schedule that I'm on. But if you want to be a day timer, ZzzQuil, drink that shit. It will put you to sleep, but it doesn't have like all the stuff that NyQuil it has in it. It just has the sleepy part. Or you can get that Kava stress relief tea. You can find it at any grocery store. Kava is like literally drugs. So you do like 2 or 3 bags in 1 cup. You like sip that shit down, maybe do a second cup. You will be out. It's not as good as weed, but it's pretty fucking close. It's amazing.
Wow.
Shout out to
Okay.
Kava.
I will. I will definitely look into that because I need something because I'm starting to like get kind of how I was a couple years ago where I was like starting to lose my shit and not be as mindful and laid back and chill as I was because of the lack of sleep. But
There are ways. There are ways. Just as an insomniac, I just ask you to be careful about Ambien because as an insomniac,
oh,
I
I
took
won't even do
Ambien
that stuff.
and I ended up sleepwalking so much. It was bad.
Well, I was on trazodone for a while, and I almost killed
Oh, I
myself
fucking love
when I was on that.
Oh, I love trazodone. I'm sorry that you
I basically stood up and passed out when I was standing up and almost bust my head on the table, but my wife
Oh
saved my life.
no.
And
Yay, wife.
yeah, Rachel saved me, and that's like why I'm here today because that was very, very close to not being here, and it scared her to
Sure.
death. And it's crazy, like all the meds I was on back then. It was just like insanity. I'm like in such a better place. If I could just get my sleep under control, then I'd be a little healthier. But yeah, I'll look into that stuff that you were mentioning.
Sleep is the hardest thing. The only effective sleep medication that has worked for me so far is having a dog.
Oh, yeah, yeah. My
My
cat
dog
likes to
wakes
snuggle
me
with me, but
he wakes me up from my nightmares, and he I don't know, he's in my dreams now, like, and he like defends me in my dream.
that is
So
awesome.
I don't know. I've taken all the types of pills you can take for nightmares, and they're not as effective as dog.
Good going, Rocco.
Shout out to Rocco.
Shout out to Rocco. Thanks for keeping V safe there.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, well, V, thank you so much for being on here. I love you to death. I love it. I love Jay. I love your guys' podcast. I hope everybody will check out
Oh,
the Frown
shit.
Town Pod and learn more about V and Jay and all these awesome people out there that they know and talk to, and yeah, everything else. Like thanks for tuning in. Wait, where's my other notes? Damn it. I think I did create my notes from the old script. Oh well, if anybody wants to check me out, check out the Wormhole Manifest podcast on Twitter at WormFestPod, and you can find the other stuff from there. Thank you very much, everybody. V, thank you very much. I hope you have a great night, and we will talk to everybody later. See ya.
Bye.